So, The Walking Dead star and Invincible star Steven Yeun has apologized to fans after exiting Marvel's Thunderbolts, which is going to come out in 2025, but he still wants to be a part of a Marvel movie one day, he says. The Walking Dead and Invincible star has apologized for quitting the MCU, but assured fans he definitely wants to do Marvel projects in the future. Speaking to Variety, Yeun confirmed that it was shifting schedules due to the SAG after a strike earlier in 2023 that caused a huge reshuffle with the dual writer and actor strike. He said, quote, "I think for me, time passing and things shifting kind of pulled me out of it. But Jake, I know, is going to do an incredible job giving fans hope for the future." Yeun added plainly, "I want to do a Marvel movie." So he was pretty candid about his excitement to do that role and his excitement for any future MCU projects. But we wish him the best, and I hope to see him in more things in 2024 and beyond. Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, the merger of the horror supergiants is now completed. So for those of you who are fans of James Wan's production company Atomic Monster and Blumhouse Films, of course, with Jason Blum, the two preeminent production companies working in horror have now completed their long-awaited merger, which Blum announced on Tuesday. "Our deal is done," he said. So this was pretty exciting news. The merger comes ahead of the new release, Night Swim, which is in theaters this week, in the supernatural horror pick, marking the first directorial debut of Bryce McGuire, who is produced. Night Swim is produced by both companies, Atomic Monster and Blumhouse, and it stars Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon. It hits theaters via Universal Pictures on January 5th. Under the merger, the companies will continue to operate as separate labels, so they're still going to have their own unique identities, which I think is really important to kind of give people a sense of tone of where a movie is coming or originating from. The alliance is expected to increase their combined output with Atomic Monster to utilize Blumhouse's existing infrastructure to scale its activities more across film, television, and new content areas, including games, live experiences, and audio. Now, one of the things that we had talked about, and one of the cool things I think Atomic Monster is doing, is actually expanding more into the experience market, should we call it, which is basically just live events. Gaming, I think, is a huge market. Obviously, it's, grown bigger even than TV and film combined. And so I think that the shift to kind of get into a market that is relatively untapped. I mean, you have the few outlier concert films or musical events like Mean Girls coming to theaters later this month. But I think this gives Atomic Monster and Blumhouse a unique vision and kind of a sharper focus for the future, especially in the genre of horror. Genre filmmaking is hard to do. And so by these two mergers teaming up, I'm excited to see what comes of it in the future. And in other major news this week, the 1928 version of Mickey Mouse has entered the public domain on Monday, and indie horror producers are wasting absolutely no time in capitalizing on that. Stephen Lamart is set to direct an untitled horror comedy based on Mickey's cartoon debut, which of course is Steamboat Willie. Kind of lacks the white gloves that we've associated with Mickey Mouse for so long. Mickey's cartoon debut was in 1928 with Steamboat Willie. So in this new horror movie, a sadistic mouse will torment a group of unsuspecting ferry passengers. Production is set to begin for this in the spring. Lamort said, quote, "Steamboat Willie has brought joy to generations, but beneath that cheerful exterior lies a potential for pure, unhinged terror." Now, I must tell you, if, Mickey Mouse was coming at me in an alleyway, I'd be pretty frightened too. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. And as more of these, copyrighted revolutionary cartoon figures start entering the public domain where people are able to create off of it, I'm really excited to see them tap into something that maybe isn't the exact opposite of the purpose that they were created for. Obviously, we had Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but now we're getting the Steamboat Willie project, and I'm excited for the future of how do we make this a drama? How do we make Steamboat Willie? How do we make Winnie the Pooh just a cold, hard PG-13, potentially even R drama? I want to see it. But it is important to note that Disney still holds the copyright to the later versions of Mickey and Minnie Mouse, even though this 1928 version is no longer copyrighted. Those and traditionally what we would think of as Disney's version of present day Mickey Mouse is still under copyright laws. So it'll be a while before we get to that. And I know we all love a good TV show around here. So let's talk about some of the most anticipated TV shows in 2024. We have the return of Bridgerton and new premieres like Fallout, for instance. A pretty big one is Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. This is kind of the live action reincarnation of this show. And so I'm really excited to see what Netflix cooks up for this release on February 22nd. For those of you Walking Dead fans, Rick Grimes and Michonne are back for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live on AMC on February 25th. This summer is no exception to big hitter shows, and that includes House of the Dragon Season 2. I was so stoked that they were able to kind of blow past the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes and move forward with production on Season 2. And we're going to get it sometime in summer 2024. The exact release date is to be determined, but it's been shot. Then over in November, we have Arcane Season 2. So I've watched a few episodes of Arcane on Netflix, and I haven't gotten into the swing of the show yet, although I hear it's absolutely incredible. And from what I've seen, it certainly does a good job at building that story based off of the League of Legends universe. And in November of this year, we're actually going to get our hands on Season 2 of Arcane. So you have that to look forward to. Also, should I mention The Boys Season 4 is supposed to be coming out sometime in 2024. So we have Prime Video to thank for that. We'll just have to wait for an official trailer. We got a teaser trailer, which looked pretty awesome. You can check out our reaction on the channel right now and let me know what you thought of it. And as far as films this year, there are a lot of films. Granted, we're in kind of this dead period with the MCU and DCU, respectively. Both of them have limited projects coming out. One thing that I can say for sure is on my radar is Deadpool 3 from Marvel and 20th Century Studios. Really excited to see how that project turns out and to see how many cameos that we can shove in there from the beloved X-Men universe that I grew up watching. Perhaps my most anticipated right now, though, is a little movie called Dune 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve. It comes out on March 1st, 2024, and you shouldn't be too hard pressed to know this about me, but I like seeing my movies on the big screen, and that is why I'm super excited about Dune Part 2, because the last one, while I did see it in a theater, I didn't get to enrich my experience with the Dolby Atmos viewing, and that is exactly what I'm going to be correcting this time around when I go see it in Dolby Cinema on March 1st. Alex Garland's next film is also coming out on April 26, 2024, so we're eating good that day. And that is Civil War, starring Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, for instance. You have Nick Offerman playing the President of the United States as well. It was a really shocking trailer, especially in our political climate today. So I'm really excited to see how they take that kind of vibe and apply it to a large-scale motion picture. May 3rd, you have The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, which is probably my most anticipated pick for May, just because Ryan Gosling is such on a high right now, floating off of the Barbie success. And I'm really excited to see what he does in the future. And this just looks to be another thing that we can all gush at Ryan Gosling about on the screen. So I'm excited for that. And for those of you who are big John Wick fans, you might be wondering where that Ballerina film is at. It's the spin-off of the John Wick universe, directed by Len Wiseman, starring Ana de Armas, Keanu Reeves, Ian McShane, Lance Reddick. And don't worry, that is coming out in June, so we have that to look forward to a little later in this year, as well as Bad Boys 4. So those are two that I'm really looking forward to in that month. What we didn't talk about was Lee Isaac Chung's Twisters, which is going to come out July 19th, 2024, starring Daisy Edgar-Jones and Glenn Powell. There's not much that I can say about this movie because not a lot of details have been released, but I think they're going the requel direction where they're not entirely remaking it. But so far, none of the original cast is coming back for this. Helen Hunt, I don't see her on any list. And obviously, the late Bill Paxton who did incredible work in the first one, won't be returning for this, but I'm excited to see how they follow it up. And I think, having Jones and having Powell there specifically is really going to give this film an extra boost. And then as we start to end the summer blockbuster season, we get Fede Alvarez's untitled Alien movie, which I think does have a title now. In September, we have the best film of the year coming out, and that, of course, is Saw 11. Just kidding. There is a new Saw movie coming out in September that was greenlit, but I'm talking about Beetlejuice 2, starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, and Jenna Ortega, which is set to release on the 6th of September. That movie, it being directed by Tim Burton again, along with the cast returning with the addition of Jenna Ortega, has got me super pumped for this movie. And let's just hope that, no one's doing naughty shit in the theater like some House of Representatives are. The last two on this list that I'm absolutely pumped about are two that not a lot of people would probably expect me to be as excited for. The first one is Todd Phillips' Joker, follow-up from 2019, Fully Ado. That is coming out on October 4th, starring Joaquin Phoenix, returning as Arthur Fleck, or just the Joker now, probably, and Lady Gaga. Boy, oh boy, did I hate that movie. I hated it with a fiery passion for everything. I think the filmmaking technique behind that movie is magnificent. It's hard to underscore that aspect of the film, but I think everything that it stands on is faulty and just unsettling to the point where it's not enjoyable. Nonetheless, returning to that universe with Lady Gaga, with a musical, I think it could be a lot of fun. We'll just have to wait and see what the trailer brings out.